How long are you planning on staying here?
How long does it take?
Okay. And
we're here until we achieve change. What that change will be, we don't know, because we're not saying that we have solutions. We're saying that normally our evening general assemblies are a lot more successful than this particular one. And in all the assemblies and the workshops, we gather the public in together to discuss all of the issues. And we write down everything, and from that we try to extrapolate what the general population want as a policy. And then when we do that, we bring those back to the general assemblies and discuss them. And hopefully then we can have something that we can publish and say this is what the people want. And then it's up to the government or anyone else to actually implement it if they see it. But that we can actually say that this is what the general population wants, and that's going to take months or years. We're going to be here for the long term.
Response, or is it?
Yes,
is it mixed?
We're all 24 hours a day talking to people passing by and everything. And the majority of people are actually very positive about it. Some people don't know, and when we explain why we're here and what we're trying to do, they're very supportive of us. And every single day people come in wanting to help us in some way, like in whatever way that they're able to. So yeah, that's it.
Is it cold at nights?
No, the tents are actually quite warm. Actually, that tent's the warmest because it's a communal tent. But yeah, that's actually why there's so few of us here right now, because we're redoing the layout of the tent. Yeah, we have plenty of bedding in there, so we're off the ground.
And I got a question from a man yesterday. He was saying he wasn't too happy what was happening on Dame Street, and he was saying that it was just a big festival, and you were just here for the crack because.
I think a few people have had that opinion, but we've actually. A couple of people arrived thinking that's what it was, but they soon left again because discovered that it's not that. We're not just here having fun. We're here for a serious purpose, and anybody who wants to come and stay in the camp is welcome to, but if you're going to stay in the camp, you're expected to work.
But occupying public spaces is a fun thing to do.
Yes, it is necessarily fun.
For me personally, I find it very, very enjoyable to experience what it's like to go into a public space with a lot of other people and stay there for a long period of time. I think that's a very simple but central part of the whole global movement. We've been in a society and a civilization, if you like, that has increasingly privatized a lot of the world that we live in, including public spaces. And for me, it's very liberating just to go into a space that is actually ours and to stay there and see what happens.
People are saying we have a festival atmosphere going on down here. There's no drink, there's no drugs, and that's strictly enforced. You know, if someone comes up drunk, basically we send them away, or we try to deal with them the best way we can and inform them, but they're not welcome inside the camp, falling around the place. There's no festival atmosphere here. Yes, we have a bit of music in the evenings from musicians that want to support us, and yeah, we'll have a little bit of fun and we'll take a break for a while, but anything anyone is doing here is not in the interest of fun and games. We have naysayers all over Ireland and all over the world, and I mean that's half the reason why we're here, to prove them wrong. People will always have a problem with everything anyone does, but if we all sit down and do nothing, then what's going to happen?
And your stay is here until?
Well, everyone is here on different bases, you know. Some people are staying in tents, some people come down every day, some people come down, stay in tents, go to work, come back, stay here in the evenings. Everyone gives what they can, you know. Be it an hour or 5 minutes in a week, every single person that stops and has an input into this is affecting change. And we're just here to facilitate change. You know, anyone that's here is just here to facilitate change. If we're not here, people are passing each other by on the streets numb. You know, everyone's broken, everyone's suffering, everyone's getting cut more and more. Some people are being made leave their homes. If we're not here, people pass each other by and keep suffering. If we're here and there's people here in tents staying overnight, there's people here walking around, instead of being numb and going home and suffering alone, people are starting to stop and talk. It's simple. It just opens up a facilitation space. It's a very simple way to effect change. And then, as Rosa said, I mean, obviously, and I'm sure Aubrey said as well, then on the political side of things, people are putting together proposals and putting together, like, it's working on all levels. From simple conversations up to, I understand people think that there are people here at nothing or at very little, but I mean, again, you'll always have naysayers. Personally,
The reality is that it's actually, like, for the people, I'm not actually staying on camp, but I come when I can a couple of days a week. But it's really hard work to be on, people working grueling hours as monitoring the camp, as stewards, and they're working ridiculous hours because there's a lack of people power, there's a lack of volunteers, and we're trying to get more in. Cleaning, cooking, just keep maintaining with the weather and everything. That in itself is grueling. Never mind all the things to have to organise in terms of building a movement, making sure that there's assemblies running, doing all the different advertising, building the projects, doing the research. So it's really rewarding, but it's very, very hard work particularly for people who are staying here in rough conditions. And I think that would be part of my response to people saying, they're just having a festival out there.
People are misinformed.
Protest. We are not protesters. Contrary to articles and coverage that have said we're protesters, we're not. We are activists. We're not protesters. It's a process. And so when people expect we're here after a month, like we haven't been making concrete demands, because that's not what we're trying to do. We're saying these are the issues we want to, as Evie was saying, we want to facilitate discussions to find solutions to the problems. But that's what we're doing. We're not saying that we know what's best for everyone. We're saying we like everyone else want to sort out the problems.
Like everyone.
Yes.
Everyone, because I mean, there's, if there's 20 people here, if there's 30 people here, if there's 60 people here, 60 people from the whole of Ireland don't have solutions. Okay, we need every single person to come in off the street and start getting together and attending the meetings and having their say, because it's for every single person. Every single person.
Take, for instance, a subject that's been discussed here is the environment. We have a government up there today which is aimed to recognise the problem. The environment is probably one of the greatest ongoing problems this country is going to face in the future. For instance, in the Lakelands of Ireland, which is West Midland, it's Roscommon, you have a system now called fracking, which is fracturing the shale rock to bring to the surface gas. How is that done? It's done by chemicals. There's water poured down into the chemicals. The gas comes up. And where does that polluted water go? It goes down into the centre of Ireland is the Lakeland of Ireland. It goes back down into the very water. It goes into our streams, into our reservoirs. When people wake up like they did in parts of the world where they turn the tap on and the blue flame comes up, then they'll know. It's things like that are being discussed here in depth. And it is, and coastal erosion. When is the Atlantic going to be at that low again? Those are the types of subjects we're talking about, as well as hidden taxes, as well as social subjects. There is fierce social problems out on the fringes of Dublin, where Dublin people have been removed, as it was, to the like of Kinnegad, Derry and places like that, and there is no backup for them there. And now they're unemployed. They are hurt. Those crowd up there don't care, but we do care here on this side. That's what we discuss. Anytime I'm here for 6 days, and we definitely discuss problems that are with us, and the environment that is probably, apart from the bankers, is probably one of the greatest problems that this small island is exposed.
Down to everything. Like I, for example, I live in Wicklow, and I live in a small village, and it's just down to very small personal grievances, that we never get a chance to air. I've had a 2-foot wide and 1-foot deep pothole outside the door of my house for the last 3.5 years. I've been onto the council several times to fix it, and they never did. Now they want to build a several million euro road from Tallaght to Hollywood, which is the town I live, They want to desecrate the village of Hollywood by putting a 5-exit roundabout in this very small town, which is the beginning of St. Kevin's Way, which is a walk from Hollywood to Glendalough, and a walk that a lot of people, tourists and Irish people, both use. It would desecrate the whole village, and not only that, but Glending, which is in Blessington, County Wicklow, which is a forest that we've campaigned for years to keep, when people keep trying to put roads through it. The village of Brittis that I was born in and lived in for 19 years when I was growing up, the road will go through there. The road is totally unnecessary. They can't maintain the road that's there, the village of Blessington, the potholes in the road. You couldn't drive your car through it for the last 2 years, it's been so bad. Yet, instead of finding a simple solution, resurfacing the road that's there, and obviously buying a few extra bags of salt for the snow when the snow comes, so we're not snowed in as badly, because they run out of salt. Last year they ran out of salt. I was snowed in for 3 weeks in my house on my own. Okay. Now, simple solutions to simple problems instead of gigantic, unnecessary solutions to problems that don't exist. On every level, this is just my personal, and since I've come up here, I feel that, I'm not into politics, I'm not into political parties, I'm just into people, and I'm into the people that are suffering in Ireland, including myself, and not being able to afford things we want to do. Everything just slowly going down. If we had stood here 10 years ago and looked at the money we had in our pockets 10 years ago, okay, and then stood here now and looked at the money we have in our pockets now, we wouldn't take it, because there've been such cuts in everything, and added taxes and this and that. We wouldn't take it in one bit, but they do it so slowly that we don't even know what's happening. And they bring in this water tax, and they give you a year or two to get used to the idea of it, so it's in your head. You're walking around thinking, oh jeez, the water tax is coming in, but I've a year to get used to it. So, by the time it comes along, you're just like, oh, what the hell can I do? It's here now, I may as well pay it. We don't have to pay these things. These things are ridiculous. Every one of us know it. Our gut instincts tell us that we shouldn't have to pay all these ridiculous things. People need to start listening to themselves and listen to what feels right and what feels wrong. Otherwise, they're just going to run us all into the ground. And stand up for your little things, like me up there. I don't want to see my village being dug up. I don't want to see my birthplace, my home being dug up for a ridiculous road. Obviously, I wouldn't be here if I was opposed to change. I support positive change. The sort of change where they're building big €1 million roads so they can draw down funds from the EU and line their pockets with half of it is not a solution in my eyes. So from people's minor little grievances that they have with stuff that's going on, be it a pothole, be it anything that's going on that's annoying you or that's getting on your nerves, come down here and start voicing your opinions, because there's nowhere else you can do it. Come down here and start voicing it. Come down to Dame Street, or to Galway, or Waterford, or Cork, or Belfast, when we have similar movements.